everywhere else, and so we need to figure out how to tighten our belts a little bit and do a bit of cutting, and we need to make sure we do this, we make this as easy as possible and have responsible spending. So it's not fair for 3 months down the road as I go over bills and payrolls, not to let you guys know about it, but we find what we think is something that we should address. So I think we need to address that sooner than later.
I appreciate the council letting me come forward with that possibility of instigating that whole process. I can see now that we're how many years into it, that maybe it didn't have a great discussion mechanism where we're gonna hear from the department heads, which is wonderful. How do we hear from our designee who's reviewing bills and payrolls? There's no mechanism for how do we get together and let's chat about that. So I would certainly be open to workshop.
And honestly, that'll be the only way to talk about it in a public forum is like out in public for the simple fact that we cannot get together and talk about it.
Sure.
So I think that's the next piece. So if the administration will look down further on the agenda, see where we could slide this in, and we need to really talk about it.
And just for clarification, in the next 10 meetings, not in tonight's.
No, that's nice. Just find a hole in somewhere where we have a little bit of a time frame that we could actually have this discussion. And it'll be a great piece too for the new council member as they get on board as well, because in 3 months they get the first taste of it. Yeah, that's it.
Anybody else? All right. Moving down to staff comments, starting with Chief Nelson.
All right. Well, it's been a busy summer so far. As everybody knows, we've had the rodeo going on. We've had graduation. Both those parades went really well. Working with everybody from the city, the fire departments and volunteers, it went super well. We've had no major incidents with any of those. Farmer market every weekend's been going great. No real issues there. Just this last little bit ago, we had a big street dance they had. There was like 300 people there. We had no problems. Really went really well. So, so more work for our guys, but ultimately for our community, I think it's gone really well. Coming up, we have National Night Out. That's the first Tuesday of August. So that's a big one. Everybody to come together. All of our partners and everybody from our community come together, and our community can see what we provide to them and what resources and any questions they can ask and see what's going on. So that's coming up. We also have another big event, the Rough Stock Rodeo is coming up also in August. So we got to wrap up for our law enforcement purposes for that. I try to send out to everybody on the council kind of a quick breakdown of our stats for the year. I don't know if that came through very well or not. But I just wanted to touch base on a few things that kind of in our community I've seen is the biggest problem. And it's unfortunate, it's our juvenile and dogs, but juvenile is the big thing. Because even if you take all of our, like our current robbery that we have was juvenile based. 2 of our gun incidents that we've had in towns were juvenile based. Half of our, what we call suspicious circumstances calls were also juvenile based. And same with our malicious mischief calls that we had, over half of those are juvenile based. So when you start taking our juvenile crime within our community, it's our #1 problem that we're having. And so I'm trying to figure out some ways to get the parents to try to get this under control. The curfew has helped. It's kind of, the late night stuff's kind of stopped for the most part because we can now get them off the road, and we have had to have that happen a few times. With kids that are still running around after hours, but we're able to get off easily this way, so it's been helping. But I'm looking to do, when the school season comes in, Chris, we're going to do a presentation to parents. It's going to be open to all parents for all the schools to come in on electronic devices and on youth, and how to maybe help them move forward with how to better understand how their kids are getting on electronics and how they communicate and how they're getting around today, because that's one of our biggest problems we're seeing in our community. Within the whole county, there's almost 24 active sex crime going on right now with the youth. And unfortunately, a lot of those are just kids with phones that are doing things they shouldn't be doing. So that's another thing we need to really address in our community. It's becoming a bigger and bigger problem all the time. Unfortunately, is our youth and that portion of their phones. So we're looking to do some training with our school resource officer to get that, hopefully the education piece for our community. But I'm seeing a big rise in that. So that's my biggest concern is our youth in our community, because not only are they causing most of our problems with crime, but they're also having their own internal problems that way. So it's a little concerning to me. And obviously we got to get the community on board to help with that. But besides that, you can see, I mean, for the most part, our major crime stuff is pretty low within our town. Most of it's just what I would call some small set, malicious mischief, things like that are going on. With those that I sent, have you any questions on, or anything on what I sent for you guys to review, or on that at all.
Do you find youth stuff happening more still during the nighttime?
It is still, but it's not as late. Because we are actually finding there's way less kids. And what it is, the ones that know the rules, will follow the rules, will get off. So we don't have so many out there. But for the most part, I mean, it's still happening late at night. We've got a few, like our, what they call it, marijuana shop up here got hit again. They were throwing stuff through their window, just another malmiss thing. And they were juveniles. And they were out way past time, you know. We think we know who they are, so we're trying to track that down. But it is just, there's a few key groups within our community that their kids just draw out all the time. And it's really tough. So we're really working hard to get that, because 90% of them are great. We are having no problems with 90% of our youth. It's just, unfortunately, it takes a small number to create chaos within a small area. So that really helps. So that's why we're going to try with parents in schools to find some better programs for them to do that. And we're also going to try to look into some maybe after school programs that we might try to do some type of voluntary thing through the police department. We're trying to look at some different programs that they have nationally out there that we might be able to partner with to see if we can help get some of these kids into something that's a little more productive.
It's great.
Yeah, the problem is just there could be a little bit of money issue on some of them, but most of them aren't that bad. So I'm looking at a couple different avenues for that they can actually become members of. That's more of a, I don't want to say Boy Scout or a Girl Scout, that's kind of like that. You're doing those type of activities. They're not so much, you know, hiking through the woods or camping, but activities that gear them towards productive things in our community opposed to just running around and causing trouble. So yeah. Oh, and one more thing that was brought to me, so I know the last council meeting, they were talking about vandalism up in the park up here. I did a double check, because I didn't know what they were talking about for sure. And there has not been any vandalism up there. It's been almost a year, I think, since that's happened. It was last summer that it was vandalized. There's been none this year at all. And I double checked with Mark, and I think you're going to talk a little more about that part, I guess, when you talk to the director.
Yeah, with Mark.
What's that?
Oh, you talking about the irrigation?
Yeah, the irrigation problem there, because it wasn't being watered. And I know vandalism was part of what they were saying, but I double checked. So just so people know, it was last year's ban. There's no vandalism that happened at all this year. So I just want to be clear.
Yeah.
So it's not a continuous problem that's happening. There's no issues up there. We've only had one vandalism in our whole park this whole time that I'm aware of, and that was the bathroom over the main part that like they pulled the box off or something. So for the most part, our guys doing the bathroom thing does probably decrease the vandalism going on there. So that probably does help out a lot there as well. But, so yeah, do we have any questions for me or anything?
I do. I have a question. So I read something on social media this weekend that your police officer in charge of opening the bathrooms in the mornings.
Yeah.
Okay, so walk me through that process. What time?
So when we were trying to do it by 8 o'clock, not trying to do it by, but if they get a call or something comes up, and sometimes they may forget. If they have a late night, sometimes they don't get up till, because I know, like when my last officer worked, he was out till 3 a.m. He didn't get up until like 7. I know one didn't get open on a certain morning. And we're just trying to work with the parks, because I know they don't work like on the weekends in the mornings. So it's not going to be perfect. But they are trying to get there most mornings by 8 o'clock is the goal.
A few of the folks at that the football court, they're early risers, and they feel like they want that bathroom.
Yeah, I totally understand. Yeah, those things where, yeah, and we try to remind everybody knows it's on their to-do list, you know, their everyday list to do. But if they are having a late one, I'm not going to hold them to get there super early every morning. But I think for the most part, probably 90% of the time it's getting done. I think I haven't had too many other problems. It's been done usually by the time it's supposed to be. So, so yeah, but there was a couple nights where I know my guys did not get it done. So,
Touching base on what you said earlier about getting kids involved in some proactive things.
Yeah.
You're the subject matter expert as far as what the law can tell and what you can suggest.
right.
So, yeah, Abby and I were talking earlier about the BMX park that kind of died in the weeds, literally. Is there any kind of mechanism where we could have youth get in there with rakes and hose and some supervision and clean up and make it their own? I mean, is there?
Yeah, and it depends. There's two different ways. Obviously, through the courts, if we're saying someone's doing something bad, right, and mandate,
Right.
we can still they can mandate community service, which then we already have a mechanism in place where you can sign up for us to do community service through us. So that's something they can do if we want to add that as a productive thing. What I was talking about is more of a program where they voluntarily sign up before they're in trouble, or even after, where we will have these kind of projects and things that they can come help us do, whether it's just picking up garbage, cleaning up our park, whatever it could be, little things like that. But then we also do something fun with them, like maybe we do take them just so easy for that, you know, something like that with parent involvement, those type of things, so. But yes, we can do it through litigation if it has to be for the ones that are causing it. We do have an avenue for that to happen, but it's.
To catch it on the early side though, what kind of a mechanism does that take? How would we? I mean, for instance, I noticed in some of the city parks, they've got chains on the swings that are getting worn. I think I mentioned that a while ago.
Sure.
If that is something that according to OSHA is not a big deal, could the kids help replace those? Could they go to the schools and say, hey, let's look at the elementary school fence, it's all getting crunched now. Supply materials, work with them, hey, they've got some emotional investment, I fix
As
that.
long as we have a proper supervision who can check it and monitor and say that it's securely done properly. From what we do, from what I have on those programs, they do all kinds of that kind of stuff. Now, city attorney may have a different idea. That's something we have to check with. But the programs allow them to do anything that we're willing to let them do. Of course, mine is using electric tools.
Yeah.
And there's for age groups, you can't do certain types of things unfortunately anymore. But for like, hand cranky tools, those type of things, we do that. Okay, do that stuff.
And then just one other quick one that was not on your basic list here. So you read the minor, you read the police blotter, you get to the West Bonner County report, and then it says things like dog issue, Newport McDonald's. So what's that overlap? Why is West Bonner County over here?
Because a lot of times it'll start, like they'll follow and then end in McDonald's. And then we get the call, but they also initially got the call because maybe it was coming through the town with a particular call. Like we'll have the same thing, like we get a possible DUI a lot of times. But they'll say McDonald's parking lot, but it came from Bonner. So Bonner initiated, they will follow. And we intercede, so it's like a double, like they're also getting the stat the same as we are. Because they probably started there and they ended in Washington.
So those double reporting incidents, you've added up in your report here?
So yeah, anything that my guys are dispatched to would be in this report. So
Thank you.
checks, but we call ours, so usually it's either animal problem or animal bite are the two way we break ours out.
Okay.
So the specific bite will have that animal problem encompasses everything. So.
Yeah.
Share with your officers of gratitude for their hard work. Thank you, Chief.
Yeah.
All right, Spofer is up next. It looks like we have a substitute.
You did he not tell you you were talking?
No, he just thought I was gonna answer questions, but he submitted I have what he submitted, his updates.
That can be short. We're good.
Okay, first and foremost, we're happy to welcome home our 2 injured firefighters, from the Chelan incident. We're proud of them and their level of training. They did it. Wildland season is here. Spofer has been working with the city, hospital, school, and PUD staffs on early warning plans and contingency plans. We have new lieutenants, 3 new lieutenants on shift. They're up and running. This is a force multiplier for us. Lieutenant Marie Balak is assigned to the City Station 11, along with Lieutenant Jeff Herrera, who's been here for a while. And then we also have 2 other lieutenants in Diamond Lake. Senior parade and rodeo parades were successful. Spofer's proud to support our partners with traffic control. We've had no major incidents or losses in the city. And Spofer is looking forward to getting another annexation committee meeting set up. We had the honor to pin the badge for a former Newport firefighter paramedic at Spokane County Fire Department number 9. And public engagement still remains at an all-time high level throughout the city at various events, CPR trainings, and community requests. So yeah, we've been busy with a lot of community outreach and events. Looking forward to partnering with all of you for National Night Out.
Great. Great. Any other questions? Any questions for Spofer?
That's the only thing I almost forgot. Just real quick for Coffee the Cop. I want people to start coming. All the public. It's the 3rd Thursday of every month. We've been really successful all the way through, but they're big. But I forgot to say that my last time. But that's another thing that we really want the community to start coming down to and say nothing. That's right.
Thanks.
Jen, I don't know if that's a chief question or you question, also related to reading things in minor on their police blotter. When we see things like big slash piles on fire way back in the woods and people are discharging fireworks and stuff like that. Do you guys,
We will respond, we can educate, we can assist them in putting things out. We can call in DNR if it's their jurisdiction, so to say, or threatening their jurisdiction. But we actually don't have any kind of authority to enforce anything.
it's just kind of amazing this type of weather to hear those kind of things going on, especially when it's second, third call outs. So where does that lie? If you needed to go back on some law enforcement authority, would you contact the sheriff or what happens there?
Well, yeah, we would go through the sheriff, but it's kind of a sticky. We're in an area where people don't want rules, they are laws, or they don't want to be told what to do. So we don't make those kind of laws and enforce them. But, you know, it's like, you can't really have it both ways. So, DNR has the authority to enforce, and law has the authority to enforce, but.
You can't go in with your overhead water can first and then get out and talk to them. That's, okay, this one, thank you for what you do. But it's not really great. Not good PR.
No.
But then burning down the neighborhood, the rest of the county is a good PR.
Yeah.
Thank you for what you do, and props, I've also heard from within your cadre, how well trained your two firefighters were that were exposed to the issue over west of here, and they've said they relied on their training and did what they're supposed to. Thank you for good training.
Thank. That was scary.
Anybody else for, anything for Jen? Thank you for stepping in the pinch. Yeah, and thank you for all you do. All right, moving on to Superintendent Howard. You're up.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. First off, I want to start with thanking the chief and your entire police department for helping us out with locking the restrooms and unlocking them in the spray park. We do appreciate it. It's cut back on messes and vandalism tremendously. So just want you guys all to know, we greatly appreciate it because it helps us. The words. I also want to thank the city hall staff for helping us through this transition period we've been going through. Teresa also should appreciate you with the water stuff and helping us learn the water reporting and stuff that we've never done before. So that's we appreciate you guys. And I want to thank my entire crew, public works, water, wastewater, everybody for out there busting their butts. They're doing a good job and we really appreciate them. And I also want to thank the mayor, council, and residents for putting up with the road projects, and things are changing. And I think that the crews are heading in the right direction. So I just want to thank you all for your patience and moving forward. We're going the right way. So anyway, that being said, Public Works, for the past couple months, the city crews have been out sweeping and patching in preparation for the fog sealing. As of Saturday, we did the last little stretch of fog seal for the season. We've been building up streets around Halford, Spruce, and Craig, building up the roads, rolling them. Really appreciate the citizens being patient with us, getting that ready for chip seal. This morning we started grinding on Pine and Quill Avenue, so TIV is in full swing. So the projects are keeping us busy, and we're working our butts off, and guys are out there busting their butts in this heat, and it's only going to get hotter this week. So, as far as I know, a lot of people have been complaining about park that you just talked about, Little People's Park. So there's been multiple issues. Last year it was vandalized, and then this year that zone that got vandalized, the Springfield did get fixed. But when we went to turn it online, we noticed there's a leak in that zone. There's a really big water leak right after the RP. And when, my fiber had surveyed the property lines, they moved the fence, so all the sprinklers along that fence line are outside of the fence line. So with all the issues we had with that irrigation system, I decided to send it out, and we're waiting on quotes and whatnot, so it is going to be fixed. I apologize for the brown grass, but we'll get it up and running eventually, so, let's see what I got now. So we've also had quite the summer for truck and vehicles and equipment. We had the 550 go down with the DEF pump. We got that fixed. Had the AC repaired, because you know, you gotta have AC. It's not hard AC, you know, but the sewer F-250, we broke the spring pack on that. We fixed that in-house. Even the city car had some issues with the brakes locking up. We fixed that in-house, also had the AC fixed. On the loader, we had a warranty issue, the secondary fuel pump went out, put it in limp mode. That was under warranty though, so that was good. Got that fixed. Back truck. Back truck has had multiple issues. We're having the entire thing gone through by professionals, so we have a warranty to hold them to. So it was at PAP A for about 2-3 weeks, and now it is at owns equipment, and it's been at both places since May, so. They had some internal employment issues, but they're working on it, and we're hoping to get that back truck back, because it's a very viable piece of equipment, so. So moving on to water. Like I said, thank you for the help on the reporting. All the reports were submitted on time, and the goal this year is to close the gap on the production numbers versus distribution numbers, and make that more accurate. We've replaced production side meters already, 2 of them, which will also help with the numbers to be more accurate. We installed the backflow device on H12, and we will be doing upgrades to H12, D-Well, and FG&I in the upcoming months. I don't know if you guys seen those little sheds in various areas, but we're gonna be putting sheds over them and bringing everything up out the ground, so it's not a confined space, redoing the check valves, making everything up to par and up to code. So that's what we're working on in our spare time.
That's good.
So this year so far, we had 2 water leaks. One was in the rodeo grounds, one was in the RV park. We repaired both of those. 2 weeks ago, we lost the communications from the SCADA system at the 500 reservoir at the water plant. We got that fixed today. The tech, I got them out and fixed it today. So that issue's checked off as well. Moving on to the wastewater. The annual maintenance is almost complete. We have the ditch left and the aerator in the ditch and the belt press remaining. So that's all we got left for the annual maintenance to wastewater plant. We've had a couple violations the past couple months, sample ones, chlorine and fecal. So redundancy will help that in the future. So we all know what I'm talking about there, plant upgrade. We also lost our incubator last week in our accredited lab, so going to be making a big purchase for a new incubator, and it's a big 24 cubic foot incubator, so that's coming down the pipeline too. So I have bad news too. We passed our ERAs again for our accredited lab, speaking of the accredited lab, so and also got all of our annual reports done on time and turned in. As far as the collection system, we've had a couple sewer main plugs, and it's on our traditional, we know where all the problem lines are, so it's root infiltration, everything that Big Sky couldn't get their parents back. So still causing us issues. Eventually you're gonna have to make them up and deal with it, but we have collection systems in scope, so it's coming down the pipeline. So on H Street, I know we've had complaints about the lift station over there. And we just had a bad pump, one pump went bad, and the VFD on the good pump went bad, we swapped it around, we got one good pump, we got all the parts, but now we're waiting on the back truck, so we can actually do the job, so. As soon as we get the back truck back, we'll get the lift station done. That's it, that's what I got, so, you guys got any questions for me?
Congratulations on getting your accreditation out too, that's important.
Yeah,
That's for that, so.
I've got another big list here, but I'm
I saw you pulling it out, I was hoping.
No, we're super busy and I think we're headed the right direction, so.
Appreciate the hard work you guys do. You know, it's not glamorous at times, so
No, not always.
much appreciated.
Someone's gotta do that.
That's right.
Okay, let's talk about the 550. Like, I noticed in this part, those available, there's a lot of money sunk into it, but last year we sunk a ton of money into the 550 also.
Yeah,
What's the issue that, like, we put a ton of money in it last year, I believe. And then this go around too, we sunk some more money into it. Like, give me a little bit more update on what's going on with this thing, because I thought this was supposed to be the latest and greatest once we got.
okay, so as far as last year, I can't really speak to it because it was outside of my department. I know that they did lose the motor in it, they replaced the motor.
Okay.
As far as the depth pump, you know, on these newer diesels, they can't run without depth. So all I know is the depth pump went bad and we replaced it, so. That's all I can tell you, because I don't really, it wasn't my department, so.
Gotcha. Just seemed like we're just dropping in a ton of money to that thing.
Yeah, well, and honestly though, for what it is, we're still money ahead with that truck. Cause you go out and you buy a newer F-550 and you're gonna pay more than we're already into it.
Just considering that, I don't want this thing to be.
Well, and I know a lot of time was spent on retooling the truck too,
Okay.
so, yeah. Like I said, I don't really know a lot of details about it last year. But now it's my department and I'm paying more attention to
Sounds good.
money being spent.
Gotcha. Just when the 550 becomes the focal point of the payroll, I guess.
Yeah, well, I like to point out that the fact that we had a lot of rolling stock breakdown, so. Equipment, sorry.
Is it because we had the easy winter time and we didn't lose no equipment?
Yeah. We're hoping for another one.
Me too.
No, actually.
Fire department doesn't want that to happen. Anybody else? Questions for?
Just to fuel too, one acronym for me, I almost felt like Mr. Craig was talking with military acronyms. What was the test that you guys passed for the accreditation lab? Gave a 3-letter acronym. What is it?
ERAs.
Which is?
It's environmental, it's basically just to make sure your tests you're doing in the lab meet a certain standard. So they send you samples and you have to prep the samples and then you run them in your accredited lab and they have to be in a certain range or you don't get your accreditation for that particular test.
Thank you for.
I don't exactly remember what ERA is.
Okay, just check.
Environmental something agency, yeah.
Thank you for doing all that in your, between dark and dark. I mean, there's, they're amazing.
No, I have an amazing crew, I really do. All water, wastewater, you have everything, we don't know the top guys, so we got a really crew right now, even the temp guys. I would really like to keep them both, so. Just throwing it out there.
Any other questions? Appreciate all you do. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm just escaping.
Yes.
You guys have a good night.
You too.
Thank you.
All right, Teresa, you're up next.
Hey, so we didn't know what you guys usually get. I looked back on what Nick usually gave you. So I decided to send you all of the revenue summary for all the bars code and all the expenditures. So if you need me to help explain how that is and how to read it, I can do that. As far as cash and investments for this year, we are over $394,000 more than we were at this time last year. For delinquent accounts, in June of 2025, we had 3 delinquent accounts in June, but 6 liens. totaling $12,000. This year in June, we had 10 delinquent accounts for $10,000, but we only have 2 of those are liens instead of 6. So we've gotten rid of 4 liens this last year. And only 5 door notices were delivered and paid. The rest paid up. We have been working on the spring read and summer reads. We've been working on building permits, lots of re-roofs this summer. Right now, we have had a total of 6 so far. Backflow letters and correspondence we've been working on, RV park reservations and management, which depending on the day, a lot of the RVers need help with making those reservations, so they'll call the office and call us, and then we correspond with the park hosts, on everything he needs. Basically since February, it's been me and Tiffany just holding on the fort, figuring out what is the priority of the day and what we have to get done. There hasn't been a lot of room for much extra with our day-to-days. So, and I'm open to hearing what council wants to hear for financial reviews coming from the treasurer's office, just because I haven't heard and I don't know what you guys like to see. And so we're out.
Personally, I want to thank you, you and Tiffany, especially for the time that you've spent, because I know it's been rough for a while. I'm glad to finally have the third musketeer there
Oh, yes.
to get things done. So,
It's been amazing.
so thank you. I know you guys have officially already started your shortly. So,
Yes.
but grateful for your double duty that you've been doing. I know it's been tough. So thank you. Anybody else have anything for that?
I was gonna ask, what are the liens for?
The liens are when the balance is about 120 days, they get a lien letter, just a lien warning. 90 days is about when the water gets shut off, and then 120 days, we send out a lien warning letter. In about 150 days, that next 30-day period, we'll file a lien. And liens are basically put on the property, that way we guarantee that we get our money if something happens to the house.
Okay.
Yeah,
What happens in the winter time when you can't shut the water off?
we do shut the water
Even
off.
in the winter time?
Yeah,
So it's usually, it's extreme weather events is the RCW of when you can't
Yeah.
shut those typically.
It's
happen
mostly
more in the
heat.
summer.
I don't know if there's actually a one for the winter for water. I think that's on the power side. But for heat in the summer, if their water's off, they're allowed to call and have that. It has to be a heat warning and have that water turned on for that period. But there isn't, as far as I know, one regarding the water for the winter, but for power there is.
So if a dwelling has no water in the winter time, how is it occupiable?
It's the same as the summer.
You'd be
You know,
surprised, yeah,
it's-
people live a long time without water. Sad.
Okay, and I do have a question, next question. I saw your process.
Recording stopped.
Thank you. I saw your process of how you're doing business licenses for different events, and I think that's one of the things that I probably admired. It was one of those things that was well thought of and all that. Can you walk us through the process, how that works? And a follow-up question to that, with the events that are coming up,
Yes.
has anybody from those entities supplied you the list of vendors with the bid?
So, we actually have had about 2 of the vendors from the Let's Bike It that's happening in September. They've come in. I haven't gotten a list from her yet. We did talk about it last week. She came in. She has about 47 vendors. So they will come into the office and we have little permits written out for them. We'll confirm the dates, we'll confirm their vendor name, we'll write a permit number on there. They will pay for that and then we'll mark them off the list. If they have a UBI on there with a city endorsement, then they're waived, but we still will make them a card to put at their vendor booth. And I try to tell them to make it visible, but if it's not easily accessible, if they were asked for it. So that's basically our process. If they're out of town, we can always scan and send them a copy of it. That way they have the color, because we are doing different colors for each event, so they're not reusable. Yeah, so we've already have had some vendors come in for the Let's Bike It that's coming up in September. I did get a list from the rodeo after the fact of the rodeo vendors, and we were talking about that a little bit. I think the biggest thing is who is it up to police that? Is it the event coordinator? Is it the city that's requiring it? I think that's the biggest question that we have and that we need to address on that end. Because I did get a list from the Ren Fair, and every single one of those vendors, because the coordinator did it as an umbrella, so she gave me the list, they paid for it, they charged their vendors. And I walked down there with my family and I was looking and I didn't see one posted, but I knew they all had them, you know. So yeah.
So what would make you like,
So if you were just walking through, you wouldn't have seen it if you were policing that way. You'd have to stop and ask every vendor. So
so what I'm hearing is pretty much you have a piece in place that is pretty simple to, once they turn them into you, you just divvy it out and get it done.
yeah.
So realistically, no excuses why entities or events should not be able to provide those ASAP.
Mhm.
So the follow-up question is, do we need to create some kind of policy that you need those so many days prior to the event? That would help you out, so you don't have to be stressed out 1, 2 days or 3 days
Yeah.
prior. Would that help you out as well? Yeah, so how do we go about that to make that a policy for the simple fact that you have rough stock coming up?
Mhm.
So they should be getting that to you pretty quickly, right?
With the rodeo, he doesn't actually have to come in and fill out a special permits application, but like Ren Fair and Viking Fair does. And on those, I've attached that spreadsheet list for them to write the event. I think we could probably put a time frame in that application of when to get that back. But for rodeo, because it's leased, we hardly ever see like an application or a vendor list, but I had been emailing prior, I just didn't get it. So maybe we need to, I mean, we could do a policy, but we also can put it on the application, but that doesn't address the rodeo one.
Okay, so I just wanna make sure I understand this. So since the rodeo is leasing the grounds, the vendors that come there do not need to have a license endorsement.
They do need a license endorsement. The other events, when they rent our park, they fill out a big special application packet that has liability insurance, food handlers card, and a list of their vendors, which is required. But because rodeo's leasing it, he's able to do whatever he, plans over there. They don't fill out that special application permit.
So I-
But they are required, and I mean, we've told them.
But they just did not comply, they just missed the deadline, is that what it is?
I'm not sure what happened there. He said he told them and nobody came in. So when I talked to him, it was a matter of who's policing that. That's what I talked to him after last council meeting, and we had a discussion of who's policing it. If it's our license, do we police that? If it's his event, does he police that? If that's a requirement?
So I guess the question is why would we even have a business license if we're not gonna make those people have a business license? And why should any businesses in Newport pay one if we're not gonna require them to pay one?
I think that's been a question.
So
all
we made a
along.
policy, you have that, but if we're not even thinking about enforcing it, or if it's not good for one, it's not good for anybody then. So it's either get rid of the business license or enforce it. So there's two choices. So you don't get to pick yes or no. I mean, like, it's not fair to the Newport businesses if you're gonna say, well, these guys don't have to do it because the rodeo doesn't feel like they need to turn it in. So it's either, I'd like to get that on the next agenda to go over the policy for this. If we're not gonna make a policy to enforce those up there, I'm gonna move to dismiss the business licenses.
Laura, could I ask if can we do that as a workshop, at least initially? I gave some hearing from the administration here's what the business license process brings into the city. Here's the net benefit to us, and here are the hard numbers. And then also, here's what we're gonna lose if we don't do it. I'd be curious to see these numbers. I had a chance to speak with Mr. Hanson. I realize this is not necessarily what we're discussing our market, but, and he said the rodeo cost him about $160,000 to put on. And he said they'd be more than willing to put on their application forms for their vendors some, either a link that they can just take it straight in and get it taken care of, or a checkbox that says I already have it. So I said there's a willingness there, and maybe we'll put a workshop together where we could talk to some of the business guys and say, hey, let's get down to this ballpark. Let's get, we'll have administration, we'll have council, we'll have local businesses, we'll have the rodeo, and let's solve it. I kind of hear that what we did is a little bit like with my proposal with the bill and payroll. We almost got it, and maybe we just need to tune it up. But I'm also willing to hear what you're saying.
Yeah, I think I'm just going off of like what Mr. Owen said last meeting too, is like, why are you gonna enforce it for someone at all?
Right, for sure.
So I just think that we need to get on the same page and either do one or the other.
So, would you be good with the workshop? Is that a appropriate use of, okay.
Yeah, so that way, I mean, we have something that's in place, and so what the question is at the end, like Teresa was saying, like who places it, who does that piece, right? So like, honestly, we don't.
Yeah.
It needs to be equal across the board, but if we have the Renaissance Fair and they did a great job doing it, or if we have any that did it and they're doing it Boston, we just can't say, well, one of them could do it, one of them doesn't have to do it because they just don't want to. So, I mean.
And I know the Ren Fair, they really enforce that, like, they were serious about it, so it might be a combination of both.
And Teresa, since this is technically your report to us, is that reasonable that in 2 weeks you're gonna have some of those numbers ready?
What numbers?
The number, we'd like to know, what is the benefit to the city of Newport in hard numbers of having that Newport business license?
The endorsement, so.
Endorsement? How much does it bring in for revenue distinctly, and how much does it bring in tax implications by having it, and what are we gonna lose if we get rid of it? Because without all the data, we're making just shot in the dark, which is.
So, and I know we started the vendor licenses because they are different than a business tax here.
Yes, correct.
These little mom and pop vendors that come to these little fairs, they're selling rocks. A lot of them don't have Washington state business licenses. And so to get that's $300 or however much, and then you have to add the endorsement. So that's why we did this for them. And then I think when we added up how many vendor licenses versus how much taxes they would probably give to the city of Newport, the vendor licenses outweighed that. Instead of just, I know like the years prior, we lost some vendors because they were like, we're not doing that. And a lot of these are just kids or, trying to make extra money. So that's why we went with the $10 a day in order to sell stuff here. That's probably more than we would even get from them in sales tax.
Yeah, so if there's any way to quantify that in
Yeah,
there, so that's what I'm asking, is that doable in the next 2 weeks?
I think so.
Because I share Mark's concern, and I'm hearing our business community saying the same thing.
We have to follow through if we're gonna create some.
And it could be a code or policy of, whoever is the sponsor of the event is the responsible party.
But I think we have some, I mean, like, I would say, maybe I'll ask Ms. Warren here, you had a booth at the fair, how did that come about?
I went online to the radio site and I filled out like 4 pieces of information and mailed him a $50 check.
So I mean, there's something in place, so I mean.
And we could add, do you have a vendor license?
Yeah, we just make it a little simpler, but I mean, like, be across the board, and that way we have.
It was pretty much just my name and what I was doing with my booth, so.
That was for your booth, it was like a rental for that
Yeah.
spot,
uh-huh.
okay.
Yeah, I didn't have to mark if I had food handlers cards or like, it was literally like your name, your phone number, and what are you doing?
Thank you. Teresa, just another question for me, do you have the financial update that you sent us in front of you by any chance?
Yes, I do.
And you may off the top of your head, because you're a pro like that, the tourism promotion fund, is that the hotel, motel tax fund?
Yes, Yes, that is what I'm getting.
Fantastic. I just was asking about that last time. We were making some donations, which were wonderful. I just want to make sure we could cover our obligations. So thank you for calling that out.
Any other questions for Teresa? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, moving down to audience participation, and Chris Cato, you are first on the list.
Yes, sir. I, finally get to say something without being called away on call. I'm the deputy chief of EMS with Padre County Fire District 2. Many of you don't know that we've been servicing the city of Newport since December 1st, 2023, when the private ambulance company closed down. We've provided paramedic services since that time with a great working relationship with South Ponderay Fire Rescue. Since, as of the end of June, we've responded to 1,180 requests for medical assistance. 67% of those have required some sort of advanced intervention. Our rates of refusal are sitting right around between 11 and 13%, which is well below the national average. What I can say, I had a great train of thought, so sorry. What I can say is those with those numbers that I quoted you, those do not have anything to do with transfers out of the hospital. Those are straight 911 calls inside of the city of Newport. Since we have annexed the former Fire District 4, we've added another full-time paramedic unit. When my Station 91, which is located next to the hospital, when they go out of town on a trip, that paramedic unit out of Station 41 comes down to Newport. So what does that mean? Well, that means that I can tell you that Fire District 2, they give you our shoot times, or how quick we get out the door and going down the road, for the month of June was 1 minute and 28 seconds. We get on scene of 99% of the emergencies within inside the city of Newport in less than 4 minutes. Which those numbers, I mean, the city of Spokane doesn't even have numbers like that. So I think that's a great stat to tout, especially with the great partnership that we have with South Ponderay Fire and Rescue. The other one thing I did forget to mention that some of you may not know, in the spring of 2024, the Washington State Department of Health awarded Newport as our trauma response zone. So therefore, you're always going to see an ambulance sitting inside the city of Newport from Fire District 2. Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I know where that's on. I appreciate what you do. It's
Some people in the community have expressed some confusion as to why a blue ambulance and a red ambulance shows up to medical emergencies. So we felt that it was pertinent to kind of make that known in the city council meeting.
Sure.
I think some of those folks that need you guys, or whichever ambulance, they don't care what color the ambulance is, as long as you guys do show up.
Exactly.
Nobody cares who shows up, only somebody does show up.
Mhm.
I think that's a blessing.
Knows
So
what they're doing.
I think that it's a blessing that we have great coverage in the city of Newport. And I mean, we have a lot of folks that require you guys' help, and, just grateful that we have something in place right now, so.
Any questions for Chris? Thank you for taking time to come and visit us. After not being called out.
I've tried the last 3 meetings and I end up getting called away on run.
It's all good. Thank you very much. Kristen, you are next in the hot seat.
I just wanted to say thank you to the city of Newport, as well as the Creative District, the street dance that we put on. Like Wade said, we had about 300 people come down. The community thoroughly enjoyed it, so much that my phone won't stop ringing. So I'm here to ask for August 29th, if I can also shut the street down that day. I have the same band. I haven't signed a contract yet because I want to talk to you guys first. We are looking for any sponsorships or anything, if you know of anyone that might be interested in partnering with us, but doing the same kind of thing. The community really enjoyed the fact that we had something free that all the family could come to. So, I've talked to the American Legion. It sounds like a small car show in place for the same night on the same street, if I can get it approved for you guys. As well as possibly maybe looking at some vendors I actually asked the farmer's market if they would want to do a night market that night. And I'm waiting on a response on that. So, with your guys' approval, I would like to make it happen again for the community on the 29th of August.
You know, any conflicts?
I'm not on what's happened. I don't know what's happened. I don't believe so, but
Is that another Saturday?
it is same time frame. If we can block it off around 3 p.m. and use it from 6 to 9.
Chief, did you have any extra people on duty that night?
I did not,
Okay.
but I was there as well, so
So you really did.
yeah, I was there. But it was, honestly, it was good. There's a lot of people, I was surprised.
People were pretty well,
In-kind service.
Yeah.
they're pretty well behaved.
There were a lot of them. I mean, I was actually surprised to how many people showed up. It went really well. I was so surprised. I mean, it was busy. But everyone was cordial, and there was no craziness. So they did a good job, but
So once she puts her paperwork through, do we make a motion there, or do we do it now?
It's actually in the mayor's purview.
And if there's,
Close street.
yeah, if there's not any conflicts, I don't see a problem with it.
I'll make a motion to approve that event for August 29th.
And I will second it.
Thank you.
There, first and second, any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. You're welcome. All right, next on the list is Kenny Ball. You're up.
We've got an ongoing dog problem within the city. I'm sure everybody has seen the posts. Dogs loose, dogs stacking, cats, chickens, other small dogs. This issue really needs to be resolved somehow. There really needs to be consequential force to put behind this. Because waiting until some small child takes serious injury isn't what the community needs at all. The other issue is parking. There's numerous people across the city that park in designated areas that they should, like, parking at any time. I've seen individuals that are not handicapped at all parking in handicapped spots. Like, if we're not going to enforce those, and tickets do bring back a small amount of money to our city, we really should be enforcing these.
Since we have the chief here, let's see.
yeah, I mean, obviously we're a small town. I talk to you all the time about this stuff. It's one of those things where a lot of stuff we're complaint based because we have one guy that patrols most of the time. We don't want to punish people, like we talked about the thing. So if we ask them with their car and they move it, we usually don't take it because they fortunately come and move their car. Obviously, if it's continuous or a problem, like the one that you're talking about there, they decide it, but we're not going to tow the car from them because you got to remember, we also know these people's history and like a lot of people in this community have a lot of money and we take people's cars from them. It really creates great hardship. So there's a fine balance that we play in law enforcement in this community because many people don't have the means. They're not making good choices. So we will go to that point if it goes to that, but we try not to educate and then we'll do monetary. But most people get 2 to 3 warnings before we're gonna start, especially for parking issues because inevitably people live in certain areas. They do usually park in front of there. Most of these come up where they live. They just stay past where they're supposed to be or in a bad spot where they live. So we try to be careful to some degree with that because it's a fine. There are citizens that live there and they live in that community. I know they're not supposed to park in certain spots. There was a reason why they were doing it, because they were working on their car. Well, I know you say no, but that's what they tell us, and they can't do it, and I talked to the manager, they don't allow them in the parking lot, so that's why they can't do it there. So
Trust me, but I've seen it other places, people parking.
it's everywhere, I know, I'm not disagreeing with you, it's just that it's enforced, and the dog thing is out of control.
Yes.
Nobody puts their dogs on leashes, but we get called in the time lapse, how it usually works, we check the areas, and we usually go 2 to 3 dogs a week that we're counting.
So I'm actually looking for a outside source that we could contract with if it becomes feasible to take care of that. The problem is, we can sit, we cite them, but the issue is nobody really just doesn't take care of dogs in this town. I mean, that's the honest truth of it. So we can't take your dog from them.
I'm not sure.
And then how it works for angry dogs, like for us, is called a potential dangerous dog. So if your dog attacks a chicken or cat, we can prove that it occurred, we can do a potential dangerous dog on that dog, and we can, and a lot of stipulations go on. If it bites a human, and it causes significant damage to a person, it has to cause significant damage for us to do for our ordinance, then they are a dangerous dog, and then it's a way worse penalty that goes on. They have to muzzle it, they have to get a $50,000 insurance, and there's all these things that go with it. But those are, and we get usually 1-2 bites a week that happen, but 90% of the time it's the owner's own dog or bites friends who they don't ever press charges or do anything with it. So we don't normally go down that road. It still gets reported to the Tri-County Health because of the bite and the quarantine, but if they don't want to be a victim, we can't make people be victims for most bites and things like that. So, I mean, it's going on all the time. We're catching dogs all the time, but there are so many people in Spring that have dogs that do not raise their dogs.
And I know that dogs are an issue. Is there anything that we as a council can do to help you?
I mean, we already have all the rules in place. It's just, I don't have a designated code person. So our guys are doing crime, and the dog thing is really more of a code enforcement thing, unless it causes severe damage or something. So for them to do it all is really tough. We did a while back, had a designated code. I know for a while they tried that here. And I think it would work if the right person was in that role. If it was, I mean, if they really want to put together a code enforcement person, they could be really, really busy. My personal opinion when it comes to like code enforcement, civil things, I don't like that law enforcement does that because my personal, like if I'm trying to put your house on your grass, you're too tall, things like that, I don't know if that should be a code. You know what I mean? It shouldn't be like showing up and saying, hey, your garbage is getting too big or this. Not that we're small, so it works and we have to do it, but in the best world picture, that should be I would call it a representative of the city who has some limited control to enforce code, but isn't dressed like a cop coming at your door. Because it is intimidating and it changes some of the things and that kind of stuff, but that's down the road for us to look at. But for the dog thing, I mean, trust me, we do a lot. We have a lot of dog calls. And we take, like, to year to date, we've had, I think it's 59 animal calls year to date that we know of, that we've ever called into. So I don't have a good answer for you other than we try to catch as many as we can. The people that get it, I have a mandatory, if you're second time offense, it's automatic citing. So that's what we do. First time, if your first time your dog's out, I'm probably not going to cite you. You're going to get the education, you're going to get the, hey, you need to do this, require a leash. Dog second time, it's mandatory.
Maybe there should be a mandatory class on individuals cited twice.
Who's gonna, but then what class? So who's gonna put the class on? There's a lot of that stuff that goes into those kind of things, because they already know. I mean, it's a quick education. You're required to have your dog on leash unless it's on your own property, in your own vehicle counsel's property, on his property counts, as long as he wants it there. It's just out in the public arena. So it's a really short tidbit, but we try to give the first one free for most people, unless it does something like fight somewhere or something like that. The problem is we have a lot of them that have it over and over again. They've been cited for the multiple times. And most of them, 2 of them are getting rid of their dogs because it was costing so much money. So it does take effect. It just takes for it to come into play, unfortunately. But I mean, it's a real problem we have in our community. So
I think the car parking thing would address that. It can probably take some more enforcement on them.
Yeah.
So
I know one particular,
okay.
Well, also, I've looked into the ALPRs. They can catch infractions coming in and out of the city.
Yeah, we're not doing any camera. We tried that last year and some of those I'm just saying it's not something we were looking at the time to go to. And Washington State's kind of a lot of little stipulations going on. There's a lot of pushback from the community on a lot of that stuff. So until that gets kind of resolved a little more in the bigger arena, we're probably there for our community.
Well, after looking into these, I can see why our community would push back on that.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it was. I mean, yeah, they're an awesome tool, but the community has to want for us to use it. So if they don't want it, we're not going to use it. So it's pretty cut dry.
Thank you. Thanks, Kenny. Passes. That moves us down to city administrator.
All right, after last meeting, I asked the creative district to give us an updated rendering and kind of a drawing. Of what the sculpture of the bear, so this is what was provided, Linda is here if you had specific questions, but I think this gives us a much clearer picture of, what will be down at TJ Kelly.
Yeah, much better picture than the first one we got. So I think I had a question for you last time, Linda, is like, what's the plan on securing this to?
We don't have a final plan yet. There's two possibilities. One would be, like in that picture, building a box that it would sit on, or a platform of some sort. The other is just to have, like the concrete tubes in the ground supporting each of the pods that are there. So there's two options, and I have no idea how much either option costs at this point.
So something with our public works folks too is make sure that whatever location this is not going to be in any way, shape, or form by something where we have to replace some underwater pipes.
Yeah.
So we don't have to do this thing out all at once. I think it's a great piece also. I just want to know how we're going to secure it down there for the simple fact that even though it's made out of metal and I know it's going to weigh a ton, I just don't want anybody to walk off with this thing.
I doubt that will happen, but
I never say never. Also, I think Jamie had a question on this, and I'll just kind of follow up on that. Is any sharp edges on there where people are going to try to climb this kid's trying to climb this and they could possibly get cut or hurt?
I raised that question, and they said that they would round all the edges. So
That's great. Thank you. Look sharp.
So I guess the question is, I mean, I need to let them know that the plan can go forward. It can go working.
Tell me how I can get them out this. So is this something that you can get together with the city and you guys can figure out what the next plan is and either actually create a base for it or actually finding some kind of mechanism to put on there so we know where, and then pick a location where the city feels like they won't have to move it around to dig it up if they have to get into some infrastructure?
So design wise, is everyone okay with design and then final mounting and location?
Because that looks great.
Three dimensions on this, how big is it?
Oh gosh, I didn't bring it with me. It's life size. It's
It's like 6 feet wide or something like that.
7 feet long,
by
4
4 foot high, maybe.
feet and 2 feet.
Yeah.
Seems to somewhat ring a bell.
So Mark, what's the concern you've got about it being ripped off? I mean, are you talking about somebody sticks a chain around it and drags out their pickup truck?
I don't know. I just want to be like, if for this piece is made out of metal, if it's gonna be permanent, I just want to be permanently somewhere. So either some concrete or some kind of metal pieces where they go directly into the ground and stuff like that. Because I mean, you know, just if it's gonna be a permanent fixture, let's just make it a permanent fixture.
Yeah, I mean, being in the construction trade, I'm looking at that's 6 foot long, if that whole base has got concrete underneath it, you know, this whole thing is doing it, you probably know this, but how big is the steel? I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say is this thing could candidly weigh 2,500 pounds or better.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that permanent enough? Because if it is sitting on its own base and it's just standalone and so massive it can't be moved, then still, if Josh needed to go down there with the loader, pick it up and set it aside. So I'm just curious what kind of criteria when you say permanent.
So usually this base like that with the one that they have, the one instead of the base is empty.
But I understand, but if you filled this with concrete,
Yeah.
then it doesn't need to be permanently mounted, it's just too massive to
But
move
again,
unless you leave your boat.
He's not responsible for the filling part of that. So I just want to,
Yeah.
what kind of creative district is gonna go to leave up and down the part of it, yeah.
Fair enough.
Let's get design though, let's do.
Yeah, yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
So I guess the follow-up question is, can they move forward and we come with a plan of, okay, this is how it's going to be mounted and this is the location, ideal location for it, or do you want to have that information prior to good graces?
No, I just think that you guys decide where it needs to go for the simple fact that you guys know where the infrastructure in the park is.
Okay.
I agree.
All right, so moving along, if you guys, when you guys walked in, the museum came and did, America 250 display down in the lobby. They also brought, that in, and it's a pretty cool display. There's some old drinking glasses from some different historic former presidents, some different historic features. So, Terry Ann and Sue came and set it all up for us, but, we'll have a little sign letting people know it's here for from the sidewalk as well. I did meet with the Little League last week. Two representatives from the Little League, came up with some, thoughts and ideas, and looking at establishing an updated agreement. I'll be in contact with, the Rodeo Association as well, looking at what are maybe some different ways of utilization so that they can both function as needed. And then we're still waiting for the agreement from the Department of Commerce. So they have indicated any work from July 1st forward for a comprehensive plan will be paid, but I think they had a bit of an exodus of some staff and are a little bit behind. The last thing I have for you this evening is, the county reached out, requesting a letter of support. So they're going to be applying, to the Public Works Board for, crossing at the Wolford County. So it's called the Wolford County Park Lower Access Road Project. And so, establishing an additional access across the railroad tracks, but they're looking for letter of support. So the preliminary project is about 250, so 50% is eligible in grant, and then 50% low interest loan, similar to our Public Works Board agreement that we have. So it's construction of approximately 800 feet, 24 feet wide gravel topped access road connecting the lower portion of Wolford County Park off Highway 20 to include full width crossing of the Pilfer rail line. So, while not in the city of Newport, pretty close and adjacent to, and as those things get opened up more, just brings more to the county.
I see there's been some work done over there already. Looks pretty good. So, yeah, I mean, I think anything that brings more stuff and more applicable pieces to the county, I think we should be in support of.
And a motion that I could put that the Newport City Council, backed this letter of support would be appreciated.
I see, I mean, this whole cadre of wonderful people that came to apply to fill that vacant seat, so I can only use this one more time tonight. I'm the new guy here. Can you please give me a little bit better concept of where we're talking about?
It's not in Sonoma.
Understood, but is it up like?
It's up Highway 20.
It's up, okay.
Yeah.
Far. Are we going all the way to the hill of Coops Mountain?
3-4 miles?
Yeah.
Wolford Park.
So-
I don't know why it was
So
35 years ago.
down the hill past Sherman Rock Hill,
Mm-hmm.
going up a mile and a half,
Mhm.
and it's off to your left. So it's a,
So why
It's
don't?
waterside.
yeah.
It's got the riverside.
I love it. Cool, thank you.
Someone make a motion.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
I'll make a motion to have the city draft a letter of support for the county regarding the Wolford Park.
I will second it.
We have a first and a second, any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Anything else for Abby?
Yes. I've been asked to find out the red gate at the rodeo grounds. Who put that in? Who's it? Who has access to unlocking and unlocking it?
City owns it, city put it in, and the access lock, I know, city staff, fire have, and the PUD.
Why do we have it locked all the time?
Because people tear through there a lot of times going up fast, speeds, if it's not, had a lot of complaints, you know, we put the 5 mile an hour in through that area, but a lot of people were, before that was installed, cutting through, to bypass Garden.
Was it during school time?
When that occurred,
And the softball, in the evenings, the kids are out playing in the road and I guess people were working through there, so that was a concern at the time too.
Perfect. Okay, that's my question.
Anything else? All right, thank you, Abby. New business. Teresa, you were going to introduce somebody.
All right, I'd like to introduce Tracy Gunderson, everybody, new accounting clerk. She comes here with 18 years of experience for utilities. We're very happy to have her, and she brings a lot of good energy and positivity in the office. Been very busy today, very busy last week, so just getting lots of experience. That's right.
Yeah, it's good. Thank you, I'm glad to be here.
You're welcome.
and you are welcome to leave.
All that later is for now.
No shame.
All right, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, everybody,
Thank you.
it was lovely.
I'm sure you'll be seeing this all.
Oh, yes, for sure. See you tomorrow. Yeah, sorry, I said something weird.
I don't know if I was supposed to introduce Carol, but I will, I guess. The Public Works Director from Andre County, Carol Richards. Yes, some stuff to do.
I've been looking forward to meeting you all. Everybody's space and been, you know.
Yes, so I've been on the job for about 3 months, as Public Works Director. And, the board added the county engineer role to my duties too, so I've been county engineer for 2 months. And I am really looking forward to working with the city. I know we'll have many, projects and interests in common. And I've already started discussing, some of them. So, but what I'm, under Public Works, we have roads, we have, Sparks is under me, sort of, but there's a Parks Director that reports directly to the Board of Commissioners, so I am not the Parks person. But he is in Public Works. We have our fleet and, maintaining all of the vehicles for all the county, and we have solid waste. And tonight, I'm here to talk about solid waste and garbage, and we have we don't have, we are supposed to have a solid waste advisory committee. And this is a group of 9 people from around the county of various walks of life who do not have to have any sort of garbage experience. But these people advise the Board of Commissioners on garbage topics. And so things like anti-littering campaigns and what should we do about recycling? And are there improvements we could make at the solid waste transfer stations? Those types of things. So I'm putting in a plug for anybody that might be interested in serving on this committee. It is not a big time commitment, maybe 2 days a year, two meetings a year, I'll say. In the afternoon on a Thursday, maybe in the spring and the fall. And we might not even do 2, it might just be 1, but we would like to have a roster of people that we can reach out to as a sounding board when things come up related to garbage and littering, recycling. So if you have any interest in, Mr. Mayor, with your permission, I'd like to pass flyers to the audience.
Sure.
There's a little mail-in, application form, and my card's on there too. So if you have any interest, you can just email me or just mail in the form. And we would love to have some representation from the city of Newport. So that's all for me tonight. Thank you again.
You forgot that phone one, but you can say you're on the swag.
The swing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. It's nice to meet you. I'm looking forward to great things. That brings us down to the event of the evening. As the interviews of council member applicants. I kind of recuse myself from the whole thing because it's gonna be the council, so I just get to watch, but I'm gonna have the mayor pro tem. I'm gonna take it from here.
Okay, we'll start. So we're gonna ask you guys, we're gonna kind of go down the order of the questions. We're gonna start with, we'll start on the right and then we'll just move on, but we won't make you go first every time, I promise. One of the things too, for this piece is once we go through the round of questions, the council and the mayor will go in the back room, deliberate for minimal time, and then come back out and then we have a process of how it works. So, once we do that, we'll nominate one person. If there's a second, we'll appoint that person. If there's not a second, we'll move on to the next and go until we get one. So that's how the process works. So we do have a form of questions in front of us that we're gonna ask in a kind of a roundtable. Also, I may deviate from one because some of you guys I don't really know, and I just want to know you guys a bit more really fast. And sometimes your application to really doesn't tell me much about you because there's not enough on there for me to know about you guys. So if you guys are ready, I'll start, and we'll just go in order this way. And then when you're done, just feel free. If you need to get a drink of water, if we're grilling you, please do so. We'll move from there. So I'm just gonna go down the line, and I'll just tell me about yourself, how long you've been here, why Newport.
Good evening, my name is Mark Collins. Thank you for the opportunity to come speak with you and nominate myself and hopefully become part of this council. I moved to Montgomery County about 8 years ago, and lived out by South Sheen. I owned a business at Airway Heights at the time, and I ran that business all the way until last year, sold it. I was an Army veteran prior to that, went to school for elementary education, and started working for the Newport Hospital and Health Services last year. I currently run the training and education department at the hospital. During my time in Airway Heights, though, I was part of the planning commission. I did that for around 6 years, ended up chairing that commission and saw firsthand how government worked and was a part of that. So when I saw this position come open, I wanted to throw my hat in the ring and see if I can make a difference in the community. I recently bought a house here and have lived in the city for around 2 years now.
Thank you. Go down the line.
Same question.
Same question, because it wouldn't be fair if I just simply asked one person.
Okay, my name is Deb Borges, and I have lived here since 2003, early 2004. And I have worked in the school system for a little bit as a parapro, and I was served on the POYSA board early on, years and years ago. I served with District 4 for about 8 years, and as a firefighter EMT. And after that, went to Spoker, been there for about a year and a half. I've worked with private ambulance companies down with AMR in Spokane. I'm also on the search and rescue, local search and rescue with the sheriff's department. Here, been there for about a year, working with them. And I just feel like, I also have a business. Forgot about that. Didn't run that. I have a wildland services business, so I'm oil on wildland fires, a contract with the Forest Service, and do transport for them for the fire seasons. So I've had that since 2019 and doing that. So that's about my story.
Thank you.
I'm Bill Prater, and I've been in Newport since 1994. Spent 30 years in the Army as a civil engineer and other things. Since I've been in Newport, I worked at the Albany Falls Dam for 25 years. Also responsible for their water and sewer and garbage and roads and construction and generators and anything else that came up. Because it's a public facility, you had to be licensed for that, just like you've done the city. Done debris removal with Hurricane Katrina and Sandy and a couple of others. I enjoy doing that sort of work. So I'm trainable and I'm familiar with most of the processes. I like Newport. When you came through Newport when I was stationed in Port Louis, fell in love with the place at that time when I came through driving through it. I've watched the county and the city grow for the last 30 years. And they'll be going at the ring to help manage some of the resources that are gonna be outstripped by the growth of the county and the city. And a very caring team of folks that simply care about how the city runs and operates. I'd like to be part of that, getting the opportunity for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, my name is Andrew Middleston. I'm a fisheries biologist at Albany Falls Dams. You have two AFD folks on the panel. So my family moved here in 1998. I've lived in Newport since 2018. Like Bill, fell in love with the city of Newport early on. Grew up in a little town area, but right across the border. So, my dad worked in Newport, and so we were always, as kids going down to Owens and doing all that kind of stuff. Growing up in the area. Like Bill said, just wanted to make a difference in the community, and just want to throw my hat in the ring for consideration there. I serve on the flood team at Albany Falls Dams for the Seattle district. So I responded to the December flood back in December in Clark Fork. So I led that team. I serve on the project delivery team for the design of the fish passage facility at Albany Falls Dam. So I've been on multiple source selection boards for that, kind of weighing in multiple disciplines throughout the Corps, and just kind of knowing my place and where to kind of pull strings there, and provide input and take advice from professionals. So that's a little bit about my background.
Okay. Thank you all. I sat in that seat in 2022 and want to convey to you that the unenviable position that we have here is to hear from great people and to choose not that one person is better than another, but who's the right person for the seat right now. And so please understand that this is not a competition. This is our job to figure out how can we continue with the city forward. And we appreciate all of you being here very much. I get to the first question, which is how do you plan to involve residents in the decision-making process? And I'm going to add to the team with that. How important do you feel that it is to involve the residents in the decision-making process that the council does? And we'll start at here and kind of go back to the way.
Yes, so that's I guess first and foremost, that is as the council, I think that is the number one priority is what are the residents need, want, and then kind of balancing that against the baseline of what the code is, take the considerations, put that against the code and or the regulations that are currently in place, and then weigh that heavily amongst the council and take that in consideration. How I would involve them, I heard some mention of workshops. I think that's super helpful, so that you're able to involve folks in a public forum versus behind closed doors. I think that's always helpful. As a resident, feeling like I have a voice, it's always something that is encouraging. Things aren't happening in a vacuum. So just encouraging that, promoting that, that messaging would be my of just community involvement, residents feeling like there's voice to serve. I think that's really important.
Yeah, there's a direct involvement with residents. I volunteer a lot of places in town. I'm on the perimeter of all kinds of stuff. Ran search and rescue for a while, worked with the community in the hospitality house, go down to different restaurants, just talk to people, find out what they really need. That needs to be brought forward and discussed in your forum so that you can figure out, number one, what's it going to cost? Does the town really need it? Is the town going to benefit from it? What does Newport do? I'm a very social guy. If you ask me what time it is, I'm going to build you a clock. Okay? It's my town. I've been in it long enough to have a vested interest in it. And recently I had some medical issues, ran out of energy. It got fixed. Now I've got energy to put toward helping make this town a more attractive and better place to be.
I think a good way to involve residents is just to, like you were saying, communicate with them first of all. I think it's good to have an idea of what's going on. You can do that even, looking on the internet. There's, our local pages are full of people and their concerns. And if you follow those, there's, you can see what people are worried about, what they want, what they're interested in, what they want to change. So you can get a lot of involvement from there. But basically just, talking to people, finding out their needs, their wants, and then if they want to take it further and have other concerns, direct them to city council, and they're welcome to come and voice their concerns here, and we can listen to them and direct them anywhere else they need. So.
I absolutely believe in involving your community in decisions. I think the ways you can go about doing that the best is creating events for your community. I saw when we did the comprehensive plan in Airy Heights, we were constantly engaging the community, whether it was through mailers, having fairs that they can attend, inviting our youth in. That was a big part of it because people tend to forget about our youth, and bringing all in members of your community into the process and have them have a voice in that process. But that should go about in your everyday life too, as you're engaging with your community through work, out shopping, youth activities, sports. We should just be engaging with our community.
What do you view the responsibilities of this position to be? And we're going to start with Mark.
I believe the responsibilities of this position is to engage with our community, learn from our community, but also make sound decisions for our community. Washington has laws and rules that we have to follow, and we should understand how that works, understand the process behind these rules, these laws, the different departments that govern things, making sound decisions based on all of this. We should be looking at our fiscal responsibility to our citizens. We should be looking at how we're going to provide that for them, make sure that they have essential services. One of the biggest issues I see in Newport right now, and I see this on a pretty regular basis, is there's housing issues here. We're trying to bring new people into the hospital, but yet there's not really that many places for people to live. So we got to find ways to build the growth of the city economically as well through business engagements. Hopefully that answers your question.
I think the main responsibilities are finding a fine balance between the budget that's allowed and the needs, trying to meet the needs of the community and the people. That that's kind of a tight line to walk, but it's an important one. And sometimes people don't always understand, that you only have so much money, especially in a small town, a small base to work with. But I think that's a really important thing, that the responsibilities is basically balancing policies versus the budget and coming up with working policies and budgeting.
I'm going to borrow your word for balance.
Okay.
Because define balance between basically how much money have you got to make this work, what kind of regulations can make it work for you or against you, what are the liabilities involved with it if it doesn't happen, what are the liabilities involved with it if it does happen. All those things have to be balanced together with the needs of the community itself. So sometimes if people say, well, we wanted this and didn't get it, so it's all your fault, well, maybe they shouldn't have got it. All right, there's a be careful what you wish for clause in there, and just coupled with common sense. The responsibility here is to make sure all those things mesh. And you can't do it by yourself. You have to be transparent with the rest of the forum and say, okay, what do you guys think? And then come to an agreement that benefits the community the most. That's why you're here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say, the most important thing, like it's been mentioned, is a balance of, adding new, agendas or items to the agenda, addressing those, basing them on the existing code, and then just bouncing them across the council. But like you mentioned, I think it's important, from just a personality and, just a kind of how the council interacts and just the backgrounds they bring. I think it's the general duties of a council member, I think, while it's the baseline is, what has been mentioned, and, but balancing budget and, just, everything that's been mentioned before is, just having that unique background on, maybe where you came from, what you do on a day-to-day basis. And so I think it's, when it comes down to it, not to add more of what's already been said, but it's, taking an input from the residents, adding in your spice or your thought process, bouncing it around the council, and making, smart decisions that'll benefit the community. Setting aside your bias, which is a huge, important aspect of it as well. So wanting to see good things in the city that will benefit the greater good, not just yourself and your kind of your pocket of the city kind of thing. So.
Okay, the next question is, why do you feel you are the best candidate for this position? And we'll start with Deb.
Well, I've been here for 20, 22, 23 years. I've been very involved in the community ever since I've been here. Like I said, I've worked in the school, been on several boards, and I forgot to mention in the beginning, I currently have served with the Ponderay County Civil Service Board since 2017. So I have a lot of experience dealing with the public here, and I've seen a lot of what's needed here in 20 something years. And I have experience in many different areas, so I feel like I can bring a lot to the position.
Well, I've been at this sort of thing for about 60 years. And I've been dealing with people, and I've been dealing with offices, and I've been dealing with hierarchies and lower hierarchies and everything else. But I've got 60 years of being able to sit down and say, okay, this is what I see, but I'm not afraid to say, do you see it or not? And if you don't, tell me what's going on. Why is one of my favorite questions. Why do we do what we do? In 60 years, I managed to make a pretty good career of it. Some small communities, some larger ones. Army base has 40,000 troops on it. I managed to work well with that. Been in little towns where there was 200 people, and always been able to benefit some way. So I can only offer that here. I love this town. It's my town. I just want to see it get better.
Mr. Collins.
I just want to say, first off, like, we have a great group of people here. We all have a similar interest in a lot of similar backgrounds. Why I believe that I am the best. I've done a lot of work with city government in Airway Heights, through that planning commission. A lot of the work that I know you all do, building those comprehension plans, going over city ordinances, understanding the rules and laws that govern us. I don't take anything else from anybody here, because we all have a unique background, but I believe that I'm suited for this.
Mr. Allison.
Yeah, I think I'm best suited for this position, because I think first and foremost, it's what I very similar to what I do for work and what I've done for work for the past 10 years. And it's all been kind of some shape or form of project management. So whether it's fish passage, facility design, or it's mapping roads throughout the country at a headquarters DC level, or just being a park ranger in the parks, in Bonner County. It's been some level of project management, which has a heavy involvement with the public and partners within that. Part of that is, especially with the passage is having difficult and just straightforward conversations with people like Houseful Tribe, where we have to fly our colonel out and have those conversations where there are tense, uncomfortable, topics being discussed, where we have to provide the position we are in, as me representing the federal government in my case, in my day-to-day duties, but just kind of toning that down to a more a city level of kind of project management, but also just kicking ideas around, and so I think it's just best suited because it's what I know, and been doing it for a long time. I feel that I'm fairly good at handling conflict for it mostly.
Thank you.
And since this is our meeting and I'm looking at number 4, and I should have been more diligent, I would like to request from us, if you guys are okay, I'll just skip that number 5.
Sure.
Yeah, great. Mr. Trader, start with you on this one. What challenges do you see ahead of the city of Newport and your role as a council member if you were to be in?
You already know I'm up on the 88 parking lot stuff. And I use that as an example. There's a couple other things on my list to make this city more tractable for everybody else. You need a new hospital sign on Highway 2, because there's no way you have to go all the way down Union Avenue to find a directions to the hospital. You even went down by the school, just for example. So it's little things like that I hear from other people in the city. Well, why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? Well, why don't you go to the council and say, this is what we think is wrong. I would like to have that job. They tell me what's going on. I hear a lot of stuff from a lot of folks. Here I can present it, and we can decide whether it's viable or not. Simple as that.
Yeah, let's go back. Let's point out. We are community here. We don't do this.
Well, I know that Newport is facing, an aging infrastructure, and there's the sewer system is needing some help. I know they've been working on it for the past couple of years down in my neighborhood. I see the guys down there, doing the draining. I'm not sure what's going on with it, but it's they're working hard trying to take care of it. But we have an aging system, and it's that I feel like that's going to be even more of a concern and a challenge. It's a basic need, obviously. People need their sewer system, so I feel like that's two major ones is the infrastructure and then the sewer system are going to be pretty major components of challenges.
Go ahead, Mark.
I touched on it earlier. I believe that the housing crisis is one of our biggest issues. It touches on a lot of aspects. It goes to our growth in business. It also goes to what the chief was talking about earlier with our city's residents and some of these youth that have issues, right? If we can increase our housing, we provide more for our community. This brings in more growth. It brings in more high qualified people to help run more of the businesses around here, and that's going to attract more business in the long run. So it's solving a bunch of different issues. But we're also mandated by law to handle this. It's part of this missing middle law that was passed a few years ago, and we have to address that eventually and start adapting to that missing middle law. I think this is our most pressing issue. It'll tie into the infrastructure issues. It'll tie into all these other things that we can make better.
Yeah, so I would kind of take that and flip it around. I'd say the elephant in the room for us, at least in Newport City, Monterey County in general, is the rapid growth that's happening. Developments coming in from just across the border in Old Town with all those new houses going in, and of course up in Deer Park and all around us. So how do we balance that rapid growth with the aging infrastructure and all those issues? So I think challenge wise, Grace challenge, and how I would have selected kind of slide into addressing stuff like that would be just keeping things in check, keeping things regulated, working with the council to make sure that we're keeping that in mind, the small town feeling in mind, especially as we start growing. It's inevitable. Things are going to start ballooning out to Newport. Newport's, Spokane is growing outward. Old Town's rapidly growing. So Newport's on the fast track as well. So I see that being a big topic in the next few years.
Okay. So what have you done recently to prepare yourself for the role of city council? Let's start with Deb.
Well, I'm pretty active on the local pages. I like to see what's going on as far as how everybody's feeling about certain topics that affect our city, our town, our county. I think it's a good way to kind of get a pulse point on what people are feeling and what they need. So that's my involvement, is trying to understand what people are needing, and I do that kind of just by looking at the pages and seeing what's out there, and trying to get an idea of what they're needing, what they're looking for.
Oh. We'll go that way, William. Sorry.
Kind of do the same thing. I cruise the media, do the local web pages. I keep track of the county, and I cruise y'all's web pages quite a bit. You see a lot of things come up, and I'm always looking for an opportunity to put it together where, if I can fix that, what would I do? If I can't fix that, who do you go to? What kind of resources does the city have? I've been in operations of some sort or another most of my life. One of the first things you do is you find out what's in the junk pile. You can save a lot of money by going into the warehouse and say, you know what, you already got signs here, why buy a new one? That kind of thing. And bring that out where everybody can see it. Maybe you don't want to clean that out yet. Maybe you're saving it for something else, but everybody needs to know that. So in the process of doing that, just wandered around town. That tree is gone. Okay. You're going to replace it? You're going to leave that ugly thing sitting on the sidewalk? What's going on? Okay. That kind of thing needs to come here also. That's basically all I can say. Just keep your eyes and ears open and see what you can do to get involved with it. And the only way to get involved with it is to come here. And I'm beginning to show up at these meetings. And I'd like to be more involved.
Yeah, first thing I did, I'm already a part of a lot of the Facebook groups and around the area, both sides of the border. So just I've have always just scrolling through social media to see what dogs are loose, or what the common issue of the day is there. Also, kind of similar thing Bill was saying, just walking. I go through. I've got two little boys, a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old, and my wife and I walk through town just to stretch the legs and get out of the house. So I've always done it, but since applying for it, I've looked a little bit closer. I'm like, oh, the sign at the city park, looks like it could use some work. Or oh, this area on the corner of the rodeo can. It looks like it's got some trash that always sits there, So I guess since applying that, I've maybe honed in those what I've looked for throughout the city a little bit more.
I made roots here. Just to be completely honest, when I sold my business last year, I was trying to decide what I wanted to do long term. And when I took the position at the hospital, it was a chance to be a part of the community, to engage with most of the people that work here in the community. We're the largest employer here in and then buying the house recently, which I think was a beautiful spot in the town, and getting to be a part of this community and that.
Let's skip number 7. I have a better question. I think that like you guys said that you guys notice a lot of things too, so I just want to hear in terms of what it is. What do you feel the city needs to improve right away? We'll start with Mr. Allison.
Being just with the dog thing, that's something that I mean, that's obviously an enforcement issue, but that is something that I've seen as a resident that is constant. You know, like I mentioned, I have two little guys that are walking around the yard, mostly the one that's not fenced. And, you know, pit bulls are kind of the common breed around here, and having one of those up in my yard, not, I would say frequently, but enough to cause concern. I'd say that's kind of the first thing that comes to mind is just loose dogs, and it's really just fences that, at least the repeat offenders I've seen, were just fences of private property owners that just, they're not mended well enough, and they just bust right out, or leave the doors open, whatever. So I'd say that, and then just the second to that, you know, aside from the juvenile safety thing, I've seen an uptick of that. So like I said, I moved in 2018. I've lived here since '98. I've never seen anything like the vandalism that occurred, you know, last year. So I have seen, you know, I'm not seeing all that stuff face to face, but have seen it kind of uptick recently. So that's kind of my second, and then just a general facelift of just kind of Newport City in general, just, you know, signage, and just kind of add to what you guys have already been doing to improve that. Would be my top 3, I'd say.
Okay, Mr. Collins.
Outside of the housing issue that I see as like the most pressing issue, I do think we need to be more proactive in engaging our youth locally. I have a 17-year-old daughter in high school, and there's just not much for her to do. You know, she's very athletic and involved in sports, but outside of that, her friends and her struggle to find things to do. If we can create opportunities for the youth here, I think that'll go a long way with our community in a lot of other ways. It'll keep more people involved, and I know firsthand from like the Area Heights Planning Commission, when we involved our youth, it involved our parents more, or their parents more, and that brought more engagement from the adult communities, and so it's a pressing issue.
Ms. Burgess.
From what I've observed on, as far as the local pages, couple of big issues that have been recent was, of course, the dogs. And I've experienced that myself. I've been in here a few times in the last couple of years because of and my dog's always on a leash, so, but we've had a couple that fly out into the road at night, and in their big laps, they're always big dogs. It's not the little ones, it's the big ones. And it's really scary when your dog doesn't like other dogs and there's dogs flying at you. So I think that's a really, really important thing. And I think it's important to a lot of people here in town. Because I do see that's a main topic that happens a lot online. And also the roads. I do see a lot of people with a lot of complaints because I don't think they understand, like I didn't, the whole chip coding process at first. And so I was always asking questions, you know, if the guys were down there doing the road, I'm like, so is this it, or what's coming next? And so they would explain the process, and well, it's going to be this, and then we got to wait, and then it's going to happen again. And so people are frustrated. I think they don't understand the process. I myself was, you know, in my neighborhood, they did a final sealing on the chip code, I guess. And I was like, is that the last part? Are they gonna put more stuff on? Because it's, you know, it's a process. There's a lot of layers. And you just don't know when it's done. So I think people just need to be kept informed on the certain process, especially when they take a long time and there's a lot of steps to it, like the roads. And speaking of roads, I'd like to thank Teresa because I've been in a few times, and the road crew. When I come in and ask or talk to her about, potholes or whatever. And, or call Dave and go, hey, Dave, there's potholes over here. They get on it really, really fast. So I am very impressed with our road crew and the staff and how it's all handled, because those are important things too, when you have to drive over it every day. And they do an excellent job. So I'm very impressed with our road crews and how they handle all that immediately. Like, it's very impressive. But yeah, I think those are two of the big issues that are on people's minds now. Roads and dogs seem to be main issues and challenges right now.
I see a lot of that on the media also. Everybody's big dogs getting loose. This one's got 3 legs. Everybody's chasing it around. That just happened just recently. But my concern with the dogs is there's a lot of little kids floating around this town now, more than there has been in a long time. They're lunch for a pit bull. Okay, nothing against pit bulls or anything like that, but if big dog takes a chunk out of one of those kids, it's not going to be gentle, right? Road crews, I got nothing but good things to say about the road crews. They're dealing with roads that are 100 years old, built for a Model T. Now they're pulling big trucks over them. It requires a new road, actually, and that's going to happen eventually. We know that. Hopefully, not real soon. That's an expensive process, but they deal with a lot of interesting problems because of trees breaking up the roads. You got frost heave. We haven't had frost heave in several years. It's going to be really a shock to some new people here when that happens. Road crews handle it. They handle all kinds of little things like that, and they get yelled at, and they get complimented, but they're very professional about what they do. I really appreciate it. My own little thing is I walk the alleys a lot. Just when I can walk. Garbage. That guy's got a trailer parked in the backyard with bags and bags and bags and bags of garbage, and the neighbors say, well, you gotta do something about that. Nobody does anything about it. I don't know if anybody can call a sheriff or the police and say, hey, give the guy a ticket for littering. It's in his yard, but it's a cleanup process, and people see it. There are more than just 1 or 2 in town that have piles of garbage in the backyard kind of thing. So something to think about.
Let's just start back with you, Mr. Prater. How would taking on this position affect you personally in your work home life? I know caretaking life in the case.
My wife is very supportive of what I do, and always has been. This position wouldn't affect my home life. You give me something to do, and she'd probably go, you're bothering me, you're giving me a lot of trouble, you need a job. I've been retired for about 5 years now, and I'm not liking it. I just got over a triple bypass and had a broken back, broken neck, all that kind of stuff. Life gets in the way, coming through that. And a job like this would keep me busy, and I have time to do it. I don't have another job to interfere with it. So it gives you a little a clearer thinking process and time to go, hey, what do you think of that? Mayor, I can do that now. I don't have the constraints of a business and it's not a constraint. I have nothing against having another business. I just don't have anything else. So I have time to dedicate to my town. That's the way that is.
Mr. Collins, we're going to jump. Just because.
I don't see it as an impact. I think it'll be a net positive. It'll be a way to help give back to the community, be a part of it. Brought up my daughter having a lack of things to do. Sometimes I feel like that for my own self. So it'd be nice to be a part of something and contribute back to the community.
Deb?
I feel like it would positively impact me in my home life. My dog doesn't mind, so I think we're good. Yeah, I mean, I would like to be more a part of the community. I've been a part for 20-something years, been very active. But this is just another avenue to explore and contribute to the community and help make a difference.
Yeah, I'd say definitely a positive impact for me. I'm 6:30 to 5 Monday through Thursday, and get home typically, put the kids to bed around 8 o'clock time frame. So I'm always looking for more to do, just benefiting, contributing back, to the community, I think is, something I've been wanting to do, just not sure how I would do it. So this has kind of been on the list for a while, but yeah.
Oh, my God. Okay. Hey, do you know, and can you explain the difference between the roles of administration and council? Let's start with Andrew.
Difference between administration and council.
Yes.
I'm not 100% positive the complete kind of separation there. I know just from experience stuff that Abby does from an administrator role involves more of the day-to-day upkeep of roads and infrastructure and keeping tabs on how things are moving forward, just as a general, how the city works. And then my understanding is that the council takes on additional concerns or considerations from residents and addresses those based on the code of the city's code. That's my understanding of how those two are separated.
Okay, we'll just go this way, Drew William.
Okay, in a very short nutshell, that the administration administers, takes care of making sure all those rules are followed and whatever, the council keeps them out of jail. It's the way it was explained to me a lot of years ago, and that's basically the way it works. The council modifies all the administrative stuff, so the administrative stuff is correct.
As far as I understand it, the council is more of the policymakers. They, you do the heavy lifting, so to speak. And administrative, kind of handles the back office, so to speak. And they handle the other details of it. So that's how I see it.
The city council is the legislative body with oversight, and the administrative staff is what runs the city based on that legislative oversight.
So this would be the one time that you could ask any you want to ask random questions. So if you have any parting shots, we'll do that right here.
And if you have none, it's okay.
Then do you?
I don't have any other than to say, thank you for making this difficult.
Yes,
So,
thank you.
So we're gonna take a couple minutes, just know that, from me, you guys are like, up in the woods, that you guys are making this difficult for us, which is a great piece of the city of Newport. Also, thank you for putting yourself out there because it's not easy. You're gonna be feeling in a position where you're gonna jump in right away and you're gonna be tasked with making a bunch of decisions, which I feel very optimistic that every single one of you guys could do this. So this is a great piece where we have 4 solid candidates, and I think the city of Newport was gonna benefit with one of you guys. So one thing for sure is, I do have a last question, and this is one of my favorite questions that has been asked a long time ago. If you don't get this position, how will you stay involved? We'll start with Mr. Collins.
Just continue to be part of the committee and be a part of the process. I know there's other committees and there's other opportunities to help serve this city.
Okay, but just go down to your left, going that way.
I'm already involved, so I will just stay involved, I guess. Civil Service Board is, I'm always there. The SPOFR and wildland business and, yeah, so I'll just stay involved, continue.
Mr. Prater?
Kind of in the same boat, I stay involved, do exactly pretty much what I'm doing right now, a little more eye-opening. And maybe get involved a little more with the Conway County. Because it's also my county.
Mr. Ellison?
Yeah, same thing, stay involved, same thing I've been doing, and cheer on the council and whoever's selected, for future meetings.
Okay, if there's no further questions, we'll try to retire to the mayor's office and then you guys hang tight. We'll have something for you shortly.
We're gonna enter executive session at 8:03, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, for 15 minutes. We'll let you know if it's gonna be longer.
Would you like me to know if you're?
Yes, please.
You got it. Well, thank you, sir. Well, some of you were in my house recently. I knew it. I got the right mark on my face. Yes, you.
I had to run down and get a little fire.
No, I ran to the city council last year. I've been up there a couple of times. Old school. And always consider it.
And you got run into.
Well, yeah, you know, I think Gil's refreshing was there because, you know, I would want to see both so much more something that, oh, I need a, yeah, once you know, it's exciting to see you as much. It's always exciting to see.
Like a second, you guys.
I got my bagpipes back out.
Your whole life.
You know, I think they all make it.
So I'm sitting there and he looks in my show, he's like,
Jariana,
and I'm like,
Yeah, I picked it up.
I know, that should you did that.
I don't know why.
And then later. Somebody was like, bionic there. Then I wanted to get back and there's a red light. Are you red light? And there's person. And I'm like, what is that? Not here. Like, you know that. No, and I'm like, I didn't know it. No. I was like, I ran that week. So and I read it, I didn't know it's I wanted to do this, so I didn't have.
Oh, I mean, I already ran the county last year.
He's trying to through there, and he's sitting for one task in the session. But I just, I was like, I leave them until like,
When I ran, I only wanted to create.
Really?
Not right in my house. Yeah. Okay.
I know, I do. Get on the video in the morning, yeah, I give them that. Thank you. It's I'm not sure if we had my school first, but she has to move to Virginia for Central. And is that
I'm so hungry and I know it's gonna be summer.
No, are you going to that?
Yeah. And then I was truck thing, I was like, oh, no.
Yeah, I was wondering how you. I was about that.
Five guys are, what do you?
We have probably our forever.
Now I know why I'm.
I got rid of that, and that's another extractions, and I was down by.
It's between like second place.
Anyway.
Yeah, primary place because these guys.
Yeah.
They're trying to land up in their.
Your light is in there.
I'm sorry.
But. Right through that one and I'm like.
I didn't know when I ran on something, you could either. You should buy.
Very easy. I'm sorry that
You are so fine.
I'm here right now.
Yeah. Yeah, but I had to go down and get that radio because the person told me, so because those radios are they're big microphones. And they're hard to follow. They're almost down between $1,500 and they're requiring contractors to buy their own.
You know,
And I'm like, oh gosh. And there was a gentleman that was selling some radio, like, it was one of these still available. Yeah, that's what it was, but, so I was down there trying to collect that, and the lady was like, we're not going to. And had messages about this was the last radio. Somebody I don't know messaged him, but then she messaged back and he never heard from him.
Because you're not building right now.
Yeah, like, he did.
Yeah.
It's only six.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
We had video here from.
Yeah, well, this one, you know, it's a little short, it's been like 3 years, but.
So. Some people sound like.
They asked me to transfer. No, the sheriff worked, they never snapped up. I moved from the firefighters, afterward, I was on to Washington, ran district, and the off. You know, they, like, supplied, they reached out to the fire.
They'll just call you.
We all just sit around and talk. Sit there, the crap, and I just read that, do that, and you know, you really go. Like I have that city strike to fix the airport. I'm like, okay. Yeah, you're gonna have to. It's very much. We started out going up, yeah, and just, we just made us, so you can choose, you know, the lighter contract.
Because every time they say it all,
I never been sold to.
Yes, we have.
So I met them today in the medical. And I went out and first talking about it. I've never met him. But that's and then someone was tired, but it was one of our senators. And then I saw Senior, I was looking at my all the cows. Because it has to be there. So I don't know if there's a seat. You're in by. I didn't have to. Yeah, and then the next year came around. When they have this year. It's the time I watched the driver. But the thing and I'm like. I don't know, for that. Well, and so I was like, so you guys you just do one of the you qualify. And it's
There's like higher versions built.
And then they got number than everybody else, and then they rank people. And as long as you're saying it's like, if you have this, yeah, I'll be like, yeah, try it, yeah.
Right.
But,
I was wondering, but that's not like this, so I saw all the testers, very positive.
program and some everybody's there. Their Viper systems, Viper systems. So they're switching how many systems. So they pick
That's like.
yeah, start all over now. So like, next, so we haven't, got their contracts. We're on fire.
Darn it.
I know. That sometime.
We're not gonna come out of executive session quite yet, we're just not gonna say anything for about 30 seconds. I did forget to do something though, when we went into executive session to, actually state under RCW 42.30.1101H. That's the RCW. We will exit executive session 8:17 p.m.
Okay, let's start with this. First and foremost, thank you guys for putting yourself out there. You guys are 4 well-qualified candidates. We're about to make the most popular / unpopular decision we've ever made in the last couple meetings. The way the process is gonna work, I am gonna nominate a person. If that person gets a second, then we'll vote on it. If that person does not get a second, we'll move on to the next person. And so the thing keeps going and going until we select one. And this is, and if we, and just to put it out, if we had another council member here, the mayor would be the tiebreaker. But unfortunately, the mayor, that's here right now, there's nobody there, so there's 3 of us right here, so it's gonna be the vote of 3, and that's how we're gonna go forward. So first and foremost, thank you guys for doing this and putting yourself out there. We appreciate all you guys' answers. You guys are all well-qualified candidates. Please know that if you are not chosen for this position, we value your opinion and your self to be out here. For the simple fact that if it was up to me, I would put 4 of you guys in that one seat. Because I think you guys are all well qualified. I think you guys will bring all something to the table. It's just a tough decision to make, and I'm not gonna lie if I said I wish the mayor was making this. But unfortunately, he gets the luck out of this one. So first and foremost, we'll just go down the hill. I will nominate. I'm gonna start with if we're going by each other's stuff. I am gonna nominate Mr. Huddleston. Looking for a second.
Second.
Okay, so we'll just move on. I will nominate Mr. Prater. Second.
Yeah, your first, the second.
Okay, need a vote on this.
Aye.
So, all in favor of Mr. Prater? Aye. Okay, so we'll move on. I will nominate Ms. Porteous. Okay, no vote. Next vote, we will nominate Mr. Collins.
My second.
Okay, there's a second.
Aye.
Okay. Those in favor of Mr. Collins, say aye.
Aye. Okay, so we have 2 out of 3 votes, and that'll be majority. With great pleasure, we will now not have Mr. Collins as the nominee for this council member seat.
So you are elected.
Thank you.
I appreciate you guys nominating.
I'm sorry, guys.
Thank you for being here.
My advice to you is keep an eye on the city council. You never know when the opportunity is gonna arise. So with that, we are gonna move to swear in Mr. Mark Allen Collins. That's position number 5. That was my position.
Do you wanna do it right here or back? Or do you wanna do it back to the? Okay.
And I'll let you guys stop.
Yeah, for me. I have the promise, is solemnly swear.
I, Mark Allen Collins, do solemnly swear
That I am a citizen of the United States
that I am a citizen of the United States
and the state of Washington.
and the state of Washington,
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
And the Constitution and laws of the state of Washington.
and the Constitution and laws of the state of Washington,
And that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties.
and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties
Of the office of the city of Newport Council Position 5.
of the office of the city of Newport Council, position 5,
To the best of my ability.
to the best of my abilities. Thank you. And young man, you was quick.
And with that, there is one more item, bills and payroll.
Okay, I have the privilege of looking over bills and payroll. Some stuff that we definitely want to talk about when we have our workshop too. So I would like to move to pay bills and payroll for Just pay the gate.
I'll second.
There first and second, any further discussion? Seeing none, and all those in favor say aye.
I,
Opposed? Motion carries. And we will adjourn our meeting at 8:22 PM. Thank you all for coming. Thank you again.
Right.
Let's see you guys later.
Congratulations. Thank you so much. Mark, what's the news for you?
Thank you.